Today we're learning new details about the police-involved shooting that led to the death of a 20-year-old black man in Minnesota. The incident that started with a traffic stop led to unrest on the streets of Minneapolis. The officer who shot and killed the victim says he meant to take out the taser, not the gun. ABC's Andrea Fujii has the details.
Brooklyn Center Police releasing this body camera video when police say the officer intended to use her taser and instead accidentally shot her gun, killing 20-year-old Daunte Wright. Police say after Wright was stopped for a traffic violation Sunday afternoon, they determined he had an outstanding warrant for a misdemeanor offense. Police began taking him into custody. There was a struggle, and as Wright tries to get into his car, the officer can be heard yelling, "Taser, taser." But the chief of police saying the officer fired her gun instead. The officer heard saying she just shot him. Police never finding a weapon in Wright's car and calling the incident an accidental discharge.
This appears to me, from what I viewed and the officer's reaction and distress immediately after, that this was an accidental discharge that resulted in a tragic death of Mr. Wright.
The car continued to drive for several blocks before crashing into another car. Wright was pronounced dead at the scene, despite paramedics trying to save him.
There's nothing I can say to lessen the pain of Mr. Wright's family. What I can do is convey my deepest sympathies to the Wright family and be transparent with the information I'm aware of at this time.
Overnight, protesters took to the streets. At least 20 businesses were reportedly damaged or looted overnight as protesters threw objects at officers, jumped on police cars, and smashed windows.
We will do all that is within our power to make sure that justice is done for Daunte Wright.
Wright's mother said he called her as he was being pulled over.
And I heard scuffling, and I heard the police officer say, "Daunte, don't run." And then the other officer said, "Put the phone down," and hung it up.
The officer involved is now on administrative leave. And this is all happening about 10 miles away from the courthouse from where former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin is on trial in the death of George Floyd. Andrea Fujii, ABC News, New York.
Wow. Oh boy. This is something, man. This is insanely something. And let's just get to the facts of the case. Let's just get into that. Because this is just... Boy. Police shooting of Daunte Wright, a timeline of the case. Protesters are taken to the streets of Minnesota in the wake of this weekend's fatal police shooting of a 20-year-old black man, Daunte Wright. Wright, who lives behind a 2-year-old son, was shot and killed by Brooklyn Center police officer Kim Porter on Sunday. The former police chief, 26-year veteran of the department, mistook her gun as a taser. Here's a timeline of the case so far. Sunday, April 11th. Sunday afternoon, Potter had an officer she was training pulled Wright over for an expired registration tag on his car. The officers then determined during the stop that Wright had an outstanding gross misdemeanor warrant. Brooklyn Center Police Chief Tim Gannon said Tuesday. As the officers tried to take Wright into custody, the 20-year-old got back in his car, police said. Potter then announced that she would use the taser on Wright, according to the Washington County's Attorney's Office. And oh boy. Hold on 1 second. Okay. Whew. She pulled out her 9mm Glock handgun with her right hand and pointed it at Wright, saying, again that she would tase him. Prosecutors said in a statement, Potter said, "Taser, taser, taser," and pulled the trigger on the handgun. Potter then said, "Shit, I just shot him," according to prosecutors. Wright's car sped off, traveling several blocks before crashing into another car. Wright died at the scene. Protests erupted Sunday night, prompting Brooklyn Center schools to close on Monday. Minnesota Department of Public Safety Commissioner John Harrington said there were reports of 100 to 200 people marching toward the Brooklyn Center Police Department. He said rocks and other objects were thrown at the police department, and there were reports of shots fired near the department. Monday, April 12th. Protests continued on Monday night, spreading from Brooklyn Center to Minneapolis to Portland to New York. A curfew was imposed in Brooklyn Center, Minneapolis, and other parts of Minnesota on Monday night. Dozens of people were arrested, according to the Minnesota State Patrol. Tuesday, April 13th, "I lost my son and he's never coming back," Wright's father, Daunte Wright, told ABC News in an exclusive interview. Today's on Good Morning America. "I can't accept that a mistake that doesn't even sound right," he added. "This officer has been on the force for 26 years. I can't accept that." Potter submitted her resignation from the police department on Tuesday. In a resignation letter, the city official said she wrote, "I loved every minute of being a police officer and serving this community to the best of my ability. But I believe it's the best interest of the community, the department, and my fellow officers for I resign immediately." Gannon, the police chief, also submitted his resignation. Upwards of 60 arrests were made amid protests Tuesday night. Potter, 48, was arrested and charged Wednesday with second-degree manslaughter. A second-degree manslaughter conviction in Minnesota carries a maximum of a sentence of 10 years in prison. Attorneys Benjamin Crump, Jeff Storms, and Antonio Romanasi, who are representing the Wright family, in a statement Wednesday claimed that the shooting was no accident. This was an intentional, deliberate, and unlawful use of force, they said. A 26-year-old veteran of the force knows the difference between a taser and a firearm. Kim Potter executed Daunte for what amounts to no more than a minor traffic infraction and a misdemeanor warrant. The fact of the matter is, you could watch the video and you could see that he resisted. Okay. If you have a warrant, beat it in court. Okay. Hundreds of people gathered outside the Brooklyn Center Police Department Wednesday to protest for a fourth consecutive night. They pulled on the fence, shot pyrotechnics, lobbed bricks and bottles over the fence. Harrington said, "I think tonight we're around 500 people. They were yelling and chanting." My thing is, the fact of the matter of this is the fact, if he hadn't resisted and gone down and would let himself be arrested, he wouldn't have gone through this situation. A lot of people are not going to like what I have to say. All right. You can see that he resisted. All right. You had warrants for a misdemeanor. Instead of going with the cops, you decide to resist arrest. Okay. I'm sorry, but you have to. People are not going to like what I have to say, but you have to look at all the facts. And people will get mad and, will be like, you shouldn't look at all, you shouldn't look at his criminal history. You're going to have to look into that, since the reason why they wanted to bring him in is because he had warrants for an arrest. Okay. And that is something that people are just going to have to get used to, the fact that you're going to have to look at all the facts. People don't like that. That's what you're going to have to do. All right. This could very well be an accident. Okay. This could very well be an accident. If it is, what are you going to say? The fact that she goofed. All right. That could be the problem. I'm looking here for, both. I'm looking at all the facts here. I'm looking at the dash cam footage. That's what I'm going to do. And I'm not going to get in my emotions. I'm going to see the facts. That's what I want to do. Not into Black Lives Matter. I'm into the facts. Let's get into it. This is where Daunte messed up. As I thought, this was an accident. This was an accident. Okay. This was an accident. This was caused by Daunte's ignorance, Daunte's choice to flee instead of cooperate with the police. What do you want me to say? Kim Porter made a mistake. If Daunte hadn't resisted, he would be alive. If Daunte went quietly with the cops, he would be alive to see his 2-year-old, his son, his kid, his very young kid. This whole thing could have been avoided if Daunte Wright complied. I just saw the dash cam footage. What do you want me to say? And I'm a black man. We have to look at the facts. People get mad. People want to get emotional over it. But you have to look at the facts. She said, damn. She said, shit, I just shot him. Officer says, what? That wasn't their intention. That wasn't her intention. Like I said, if Daunte had complied, this would never have happened. It's the same thing with Rayshard Brooks. Okay? Rayshard Brooks violated his parole, drunk driving, parked in the middle of a line at a Wendy's. failed the breathalyzer test. Instead of complying and going with the cops, he decides to go and fight the cops, take their taser, run. Cops have to go after him. He points the taser at the cops shoot him. None of that would have happened if if Rayshard Brooks complied. I'm in the wrong. Let me go to jail, sober up, and face the consequences. Of course, he probably would have gone back to jail, but he would have been alive. Daunte Wright had a warrant for his arrest. Instead of complying with the cops, he decides to resist and ends up getting shot. Both individuals I've mentioned brought it on themselves why they're not here among us in the land of the living. Hate me, call me a coon, I don't care. I go by the facts. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. Want to call me a coon? I don't give a damn.